Hi everyone, I want to continue where I left off in my last video because I still have a lot of things that I want to try to explain concerning the signs in the heavens. And this is the current view from Jerusalem. It's now August 6th at about 18 hours and 32 minutes, and this is what it would look like at the present time. But if you move the time up a little bit, you can see that it gets darker and Virgo goes lower into the horizon. But at about 20 hours, it's dark enough to where you can see the planets, and you can see Jupiter here in the womb of Virgo, and you can see Spica over here. And what I want to talk about in a little bit is the exact time that Jupiter will actually cross this line over here, which seems to represent the womb, and it's marked over here by the star Spica. And I think this may be important because it may represent the time of the birth of Jupiter, and so it may be very important the actual time that it crosses this line. And so I want to talk about this in a little bit, but there's some other important things that I want to mention as well. And first of all, I want to thank Donald R. Parmely for sharing this really amazing discovery that he's made over here. He's saying that he's found something in Skyview Live that will be in an important position on September 23rd, 2017. He says NASA has been tracking an asteroid since 2004. They named Apophis 99942. Apophis is the Egyptian name for Lucifer. This asteroid will arrive in 2029, and it's going to get close, dangerously close. That's why they have been tracking it for the last 13 years. But an interesting thing about its approach is where it will be in the sky on September 23rd. And he's given the link here, which I'll show you in just a minute. But he goes on to say, take a look at its position and how it is in line with the position of Venus, Mars, Mercury, Apophis, the Sun, Jupiter, then last the Moon. I think this really adds to the significance of this prophecy and how it foretells of biblical destruction, and how NASA saw fit to call it Lucifer and its location during this prophetic event. It's like Lucifer is there waiting to devour the child as described in Revelation 12:4. And I have to agree with him completely. I believe this is a very important sign. And here's the link he provided, and I'll put it in the description box. But as you can see, Apophis is right over here in the constellation Virgo. The number is 99942, which is interesting. That's like 666 upside down. And Apophis, like he said in the comment, is the name of an Egyptian god, and it means Lucifer. And this is where it will be on September 23rd. But there's another video that I just saw earlier this morning. This was actually published some time ago on July 29th, but I didn't see this until this morning. But what I noticed is that it actually shows Apophis here in this video, so it's present during this event as well. That's going to take place on August 21st, which seems to be a very important time as well that I want to talk a little bit more about. But as you can see, Apophis is also present during this time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit of this video so you can see what's going to happen on August 21st. This is the time of the solar eclipse, and I'll go ahead and just play a little bit of this video.
Okay. Now let's move it in. And you notice the sun and the moon, which represents the bride of Christ, is conjunction on August the 21st at 3 p.m. Jerusalem time.
And then he goes on to share a video that was done by Petra Kirk, where she explains how, according to the Torah calendar, July 21st will actually be when the counting of the Omer ends. It'll end on August 21st, and this is based on the calendars being 1 month off, which I've seen videos explaining why it's believed that the calendars are a month off, that the spring is supposed to last through the constellation Cancer, and so therefore there's a strong possibility that we're off by a month. And so this counting should have begun with the second Passover, and when you begin the count with the second Passover and you count the first 49 days and then 50 days from that count, brings you to August 21st, which is the exact date of the solar eclipse. And I actually did some tables that seem to confirm that as well. It's really interesting how some of these tables come up, but this is just something I tried a little while ago. I put in summer start Leo Lion, and it's really interesting how this comes up in Genesis 8:20 through Genesis 9:2, and this is the same matrix that comes up in my second Advent table that I did some time ago. But what I did in this table, I actually added the word Yeshu, which I want to talk about this a little more, but the word Yeshu, because I wanted to try to confirm. I've seen tables that confirm Yeshu that come up, and I've shown how it's confirmed in the tables, as well as Yesh, or even Yesha with an A at the end, as well as Yeshua. They all come up in really amazing ways in the Bible codes, and I wanted to try to confirm that that's an accurate spelling for Yeshua. And I found something really interesting. I just put in here, how do you spell Yeshua in Hebrew? And I came up with these websites over here, and this one over here is about a Bible code that also, which is in the Hebrew, which also seems to confirm the spelling of Yeshu as being valid in the Bible codes. And this is something I could talk more about another time, but I just want to put the link in the description box for now, and I just want to show that just to confirm that the terms Yesh and Yeshu are valid terms in the Bible codes. And I don't really know that much about Hebrew, but from what I understand, the vowel sounds are not as important as the consonants. And so you can have an A, you can pronounce it Yeshua or Yeshua, or you can just say Yeshu or Yesha or Yeshua. The vowel sounds are not as important as the consonants. So all of these alternate spellings are valid, and they all come up in the Bible codes. But the way this one comes up, you can see Yesh over here, and it even has the ending, I guess, for people who do want to see the full spelling of the name. So you can go either way and it'll spell Yeshua. And right over here it has my Lord right next to it. And this matrix is actually about Esau, but what's interesting about Esau is that it's actually an anagram of the word save, because in the Hebrew, the U is actually pronounced as a V, so the transliteration is ESAV, which is an anagram for save, and so it has the word save, the anagram for save, right at the end of the word Yeshua. And like I said, it has my Lord right next to that. So my Lord save. And Yeshua means to save. It means Yah saves, or Yah is salvation. And it's interesting where this comes up, and I've shown other tables about the second coming that come up with these types of numbers as well. But it's coming up starting with verse 17, going through verse 20, when you put in Second Advent Yeshu. But when you put in Second Advent Yesh, it comes up in Genesis 8:10 through 8:21. So it's interesting how that comes up. And this is the second match, and this one comes up in Genesis 27. I've talked about how the number 27 is a number that represents the coming of Christ. And over here, you see the word second coming up in ELS form, and then Advent's over here. And then over here you have Yesh, and right through the Y in the word Yesh, you have my son. It says, therefore, my son, be my voice, obey my voice. Now, therefore, my son, obey my voice. But right through the Y, you have my son, and you have Yesh. And then over here, it's talking about 2 good kids of the goats. And so this would represent the atonement sacrifice. So that's going through the word Yesh as well. And then over here, going through the H, you have thy father, such as he loveth. And so thy father is going through the last letter. My son was going through the first letter in Yesh. Okay, I just wanted to go back to this one over here on Second Advent Yeshu. You also have Yesha, which is another variation over here, but I wanted to point out that over here it says, afterward will I see his face. And this is coming right before the word Advent, and then right after the word Advent, it says, he will accept me. So it's interesting how that comes up with the word Second Advent and Yeshu. Okay, now when you go back to Second Advent Yesh, then I added the words year, Obama, and beast. And this is a table that I've done before and I've talked about before, so I'm not going to go over all the details, but crossing through the word year, you have the word 7. And then over here you have beast, Obama, and Yesh goes through this as well, but you also have the words the ark, which would represent Yeshua. And going through the H in Yeshua, you have the sweet savor and Jehovah. And you also have burnt offerings, because Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice. But over here, you have verse 17. This goes through Genesis 8:10 through 22. But the middle verse is verse 17, and it goes through to here. So this would be verse 17, right in the middle of this matrix. Okay, and then if you continue this, if you put in the words Obama, nation, beast, rise, you see that this comes up in the same matrix, but it's a little bit further down because you can only get so much to come up in one table. And so over here where you have Obama, you see the word rise comes up this way. So you have beast, Obama, rise. This comes up in Genesis 8:19 through Genesis 9:1. And right going through the A in Obama is where you have summer and winter, seed time, and harvest. And it's going through the R in rise as well. And like I said earlier, when I just put in summer, start, Leo, and Lion, that came up in Genesis 8:20 through Genesis 9:2 as well. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that because that seems to be more confirmation for this date over here. Of course, I'm not trying to set a date. I'm just sharing the information. But I'm about out of time, so I'll have to continue in the next video. Thanks.